Toyota, Lexus, Nissan, Datsun, Honda, Acura, Mugen, Subaru, Mitsubishi, Mazda. What's going on, guys? Ishin from CZeroMedia here. In today's episode, I'm not gonna be walking on my cars or my bikes. I'm gonna be giving you a quick Japanese language lessons on how to pronounce Japanese car brand names correctly, and I'm gonna give you a quick history lesson on where these names come from. So the idea behind today's video came from one of my subscribers. He sent me a link to a YouTube video where there was a German guy trying to teach people in a sarcastic manner how to pronounce German car brand names. And my subscriber was like, hey CZero, why don't you do this same thing for Japanese brand names? Because I've never seen that before. So here I am today filming an episode for you guys about how to correctly pronounce Japanese car brand names. So let's kick off the video with one of the easiest companies to pronounce and one of the biggest automotive manufacturing companies around the world, not just Japan. It is Toyota. In Japanese, it's actually Toyota. It goes down. Now the company name Toyota comes from the original founder's last name Toyoda. So now the question is, why is it not Toyoda? Well, when you write Toyota in Japanese katakana alphabet, it looks like this, which takes 10 strokes. And 10 in Japanese kanji looks like this, which signifies crossroad, also known as indecision. And basically Mr. Toyoda said, I don't want my company to represent anything that's associated with indecision, so he got rid of last two dots. It takes 8 strokes to write the word Toyota, and 8 in Japanese culture represents luck in some ways. So that is why it is not Toyota today, it is Toyota. Of course, in North America, you can't really talk about Toyota without mentioning the luxury brand name, which is Lexus. In Japanese, we say Lexus, Lexus. Lexus wasn't recognized as a brand here in North America until about 2005. And the word Lexus, although not confirmed by Toyota or Lexus themselves, is known to stand for luxury export to the United States. Next up, we have a brand name that's been blowing up here in North America because of the explosion of drifting culture, and it is Nissan. In Japanese, Nissan is Nissan. Ni of Nissan stands for the sun, and while that might be a little confusing wording there, I'm talking about the sun up in the sky. And the sun of Nissan literally means manufactured in or produced in. So when you say Nissan, it literally represents made in Japan. And here's another interesting one, is Datsun. This is a tricky one that nobody seems to know how to pronounce correctly. Datsun in Japanese is actually Datsun. It is completely different, and every time I say Datsun in the US, nobody seems to understand what I'm talking about. Even when I say Datsun, nobody really knows what I'm talking about. But because I own a Datsun, let me talk a little bit about where the name Datsun originates from. Not many people know this, but the brand name Datsun, that is known today was not a brand. It was actually name of a car produced by a company called Kaishinsha Motor Works out of Japan. Kaishinsha Motor Car Works in 1914 decided to build these nimble, agile, quick little cars that could get away fast, and the original 3 designers or founders of these cars, the initials stood for DAT. That is why these tiny cars were called dot cars, out of a company called Kaishinsha. Now coincidentally, DAT, datto in Japanese means dash off like a startled little rabbit, which was a perfect representation for a little car that is agile, quick, and nimble back in the days. Eventually though, demand for smaller passengers cars died off in Japan, and the company was now known as that motor company, and they started manufacturing pickup trucks for military applications. However, in 1925, Japanese government changed some regulations to a point where you didn't need to have a driver license to drive a car under 500 cc's. So that motor company started creating the DAT cars again, and they called it the son of that. So it was Datsun, S-O-N. Although the name Datsun, S-O-N, made sense at the time, the wording SON in Japanese means loss, and you obviously don't want a name of a car to represent a financial loss. So what they did was change the name from DATSON to DATSUN, which today is called Datsun, not Datsun. In Japan, Datsun is Datsun. Next up, we have Honda, the largest manufacturer of motorcycles since 1959. We Japanese people call Honda, Honda. Pretty simple, right? Not much to it. Honda in Japanese, Honda. It's pretty much the same thing. The name comes from the original founder's last name, whose name was Soichiro Honda. Unlike Toyota, he kept his name. Now there is Acura, the luxury brand of Honda here in North America. We call it Acura. Pretty much the same thing. One cool thing about Acura is that it represents a caliper, the high precision measurement device, and the logo Acura also somewhat resembles that of Honda's H. Speaking of Honda, here's another one nobody tends to pronounce correctly, and that is Mugen. In Japanese, it means unlimited. However, also in Japanese, the way we say it is Mugen. It's not Mugen, it's Mugen. That's how we say it in Japanese. So you're hardcore Mugen fan, make sure to call it Mugen, not Mugen. Next up, we have Subaru. In Japanese, we pronounce this Subaru. Now, Subaru is the manufacturing division of Fuji Heavy Industries. So it's like a big group coming together in unity, and that's exactly what it means, Subaru. Subaru is also the Japanese name for the Pleiades star cluster. And I don't know much about astronomy, I'm an engineer, so I'm just gonna stop there. But long story short, Subaru represents unity, and it is part of a star cluster. Next up, we have one of my favorite brands, and it is of course Mitsubishi. In Japanese though, we say Mitsubishi. It literally, when you break it up out into two parts, the first Mitsu part means 3. Shi or Hishi means water chestnut, and in Japanese culture, by tradition, Hishi represents the shape diamond. So it literally means 3 diamonds. Now you might be asking yourself, why is it 3 diamonds? Well, the reason is the original founder's family crest was 3 leaves. And the first employee he hired, his family crest was 3 stacks. So he combined the two and made it into 3 diamonds. And last but not least, we have another car brand I absolutely love by putting a GM engine inside of, and it is Mazda. In Japanese, it is Matsuda. It is actually not pronounced M-A-Z-D-A. It is M-A-T-S-U-D-A is the way how we pronounce as a Japanese person. Similar to Honda and Toyota, the original name comes from the founder's last name, Jujiro Matsuda. Matsuda literally means field of pines. And now here's an interesting fact for those of you who are not familiar with Japanese last name, is that a lot of times Japanese last name represents where your ancestors lived. So Mr. Mazda was most likely working or owning a big property full of pines. My last name, by the way, is Ueyama, which literally means top of the mountain. So my ancestors probably lived on the top of a mountain somewhere in Japan. But then we come back to the question, why is it spelled M-A-Z-D-A but we pronounce it in Japan M-A-T-S-U-D-A, Matsuda? Well, the name Mazda was inspired by the god of light and wisdom, Mazda, and the original founders of Mazda decided to change the name to Mazda to make it sound cool. And that's it for today, guys. I hope it was educational and entertaining. Let me know if you liked it, hated it. Let me know if I missed any car names I should have mentioned in this episode. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in next video. Peace.